Welcome, everybody, to our second Saturday's poetry reading, hosted by local poet Kathy Donnelly. My name is Dan Kerr, and I have the privilege of being your moderator for this monthly program, which is always done the second Saturday of each month, and that's 11 a.m. Eastern Time is when we start. If you'd like to read one of your poems, we will have an open read. Just put your name in chat. We will call upon people in the order that they enter their name in chat. And Marvin, in light of whatever it is that you're in light of, we always start with Marvin, and then we got Nicola and Carolyn up there. So if you want to have your name in, you want to read, just put your name in chat. Feedback is a gift. So if there's anything that we do that you like, anything that we do that you don't like, any way we can strengthen the program, it's a very simple email to remember. Daniel B as in boy Kerr at verizon.net. Kathy and I review the feedback regularly. We've been doing this now virtually for almost 5 years now, and although I think we reflect our experience in what we do, we know we always have the opportunity to be even better at what we do. So if you got some ideas you want us to consider, please don't be bashful. Just send me an email. The program, I'll get you settled. I'll get you started. I will welcome you. I'll turn you over to Kathy, and then Kathy will introduce Carmen, who will read for 20 minutes, and then we'll have the open read, and then we'll bring Carmen back for an encore. And then we'll have concluding remarks from Kathy, and Kathy will also introduce the poet for November, who is with us today, which is great. I recognize you're here for poetry and not for evangelization, but I will share with you that there are a number of things we do at All Souls that the poets participate in. So for instance, tonight, our concert in honor of Italian American Heritage Month, we've got Italian art songs and arias. That is Heidi Schneider, a very well-known soprano who is a PhD graduate from Stony Brook University. She'll be singing Italian songs and arias this evening. We also do the poetry each month, and also we do Native American drumming once a month as well. And these are things that the poets like to participate in. If you want more detail on that, just follow up with me directly or go to the All Souls website. You'll get more information on that. We're fortunate to have with us, Carmen is our featured reader, as you know. Carmen was also the woman who conceived, the poet who conceived this Conversations of the Sacred, which I think is now in her 5th year or so. She's handled the baton to Carolyn. This is the one time a year that we combine the monthly outreach. We combine Native American drumming, we combine poetry, and we combine music, including our organist, Dan Kinney. We combine that into one program. This year's program was September 6th, 2025. We will set the date for the 2026 program shortly. You can see all the poets who participated, who did the readings this year. Quite a few former poet laureates were readers. And I'll get you the date for the 2026. And if any of you would like to read during that program, just let me know, and we'll schedule you as one of the readers. Once a year, what we do is we celebrate the role of All Souls in the community, and we raise funds to make the church accessible to all. When Stanford White designed this church in the 1890s, life expectancy in the US was less than 50 years. So he never really concerned himself with accessibility. Those of you who know the church know that it's a beautiful structure. We're at the top of a hill, and we know that there are people who cannot make it to the top of that hill. So this event that we do once a year, which we just had our 18th year, our 17th year, now we're going into our 18th year, celebrates the role of what we do in the community, and it also raises funds to make the church truly accessible to all. There is a group each year. You'll recognize Barbara and the 2 Barbaras, and you'll recognize Wendy, you'll recognize Kathy, you'll recognize Dr. Bronson. Each year we have a group called the Live Poet Society, who so far walks in the event each year. At some point we may get some younger poets who will actually run in the race, because it's a 5K race and a 2K walk. But we're very fortunate to have the Live Poet Society with us each year. So on behalf of the folks at All Souls, we welcome you, and we hope you will enjoy today, and you'll come back for the next program. So Kathy, I will turn it over to you. Remember to put your mic on.
Okay. Okay, mic is on. Dan, thank you for all that information. So, welcome, Carmen. Carmen, I always start with a poem by another poet, and I am going to read to you a poem I believe I've read before. It's one of my very favorites ever since I read it the first time, and it occurred to me that it's actually very appropriate for what's going on in this country today. It's by Ted Kooser, and it's a wonderful book. It's called The Poetry Home Repair Manual, and it's got a toolbox on the front cover. Very funny. And he writes The Abandoned Farmhouse. He was a big man, says the size of his shoes, on a pile of broken dishes by the house. A tall man, too, says the length of the bed in an upstairs room, and a good God-fearing man, says the Bible with a broken back, on the floor below a window, dusty with sun. But not a man for farming, says the fields cluttered with boulders and the leaky barn. A woman lived with him, says the bedroom wall, papered with lilacs, and the kitchen shelves covered with oilcloth. And they had a child, says the sandbox made from a tractor tire. Money was scarce, says the jars of plum preserves, and canned tomatoes sealed in the cellar hole. And the winter's cold, says the rags in the window frames. It was lonely here, says the narrow country road. Something went wrong, says the empty house in the weed-choked yard. Stones in the fields say he was not a farmer. The still sealed jars in the cellar say they left in a nervous haste. And the child, its toys are strewn in the yard like branches from a storm. A rubber cow, a rusty tractor with a broken plow, a doll in overalls. Something went wrong, they say.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something? That's Ted Kooser. And now I'm going to introduce you to one of the most marvelous poets I've ever met. She's an extraordinary writer. Her name is Carmen Bugan, and welcome, Carmen. George Orwell Prize Fellow is an award-winning author of 10 books that include memoir, essays, and criticism. Her work has been translated into several languages, gathered international praise, and has been widely anthologized. Carmen's selected poems, Lilies from America, won a Poetry Book Society UK special commendation, and her book of essays on politics and poetics, Poetry in the Language of Oppression, Oxford University Press, was named an essential book for writers by Poets and Writers magazine. Carmen's memoir, Burying the Typewriter, won the Bread Loaf Nonfiction Prize, was shortlisted for the Dayton Literary Peace Prize and the Orwell Prize for Political Writing, was BBC Radio 4 Book of the Week, and has been featured on NPR, ABC, PRI, and the BBC. The book will be released again as a modern classic with Picador Macmillan in June 2026. Carmen was educated at the University of Michigan for her BA, Lancaster University, UK MFA, and Oxford University in the UK, her PhD. She has been teaching creative writing worldwide. Welcome, Carmen.
Carmen, you got to turn on your mic.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Dan. And I'm really happy to see everybody here. I'm very grateful to see everyone on the screen. I'm very happy to sort of rejoin the community in Stony Brook and to see friendly faces. It's been a wonderful experience there to join the poetry community, to be part of I had the literary excursions, the Astonished, I joined the Richard's Astonished Harvest Workshop, and with Carolyn, lots of workshops and readings at the library and lots of collaborations. So it's just been really, really nice. I've been away from there for a year. I moved back to Michigan to be near my family. So I'm logging in from near Ann Arbor. So the poems I want to read today They come from the most recent collection of poems that is called Tricia. It was published in January 2025. And really is a book sort of meditating on the whole concept of sort of losing one's place, but here even metaphorically, just losing a sense of stability. And I think this can apply to so many different experiences that people have, both personal and public. So I'm going to start because we are in the environment, in a spiritual environment there with All Souls Church, and it's such a beautiful place. I want to start with the sort of the idea of the chapel, the idea of a prayer place. And this chapel that I'm talking about is a natural formation, is a rock formation on the shores of Lake Superior here in Michigan. It looks like a chapel. You hike about 10, 12 miles to it from the woods. On Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. And by the time you get there, it just really looks like a prayer place. It's just amazing. And I always think, look at what God did. And there is a tree on top, there's a cedar on top of the rock that has the roots linked to the mainland. So you see these exposed roots still keeping the tree alive. So I wrote about this one as well. But here's Chapel Rock. Along the Hiawatha paths, there is soothing music, constantly changing. Ferns rustle, frogs hop among fallen leaves, chipmunks and squirrels scratch the bark, birds carry sweet songs from branch to branch. Waterfalls have the sound of imagined rain, joining the forest chorus like a memory that visits the attuned mind. We walk until the falls fall out of hearing, into the thinning line of cedars. Out on the shore, the waves of Lake Superior pound the Cambrian sandstone. The water-rich breeze tickles the forest floor. The underground whispers and laughs. The undergrowth whispers and laughs. We emerge next to the roof of the Chapel Rock, named by European sailors ages ago. It is an earth-made house of prayer, hollowed out with an inner room where the wind says a million things in this hour. A lone white pine grows on the roof-shaped sandstone, strong and tall, proof of miracles, resilience in adversity. Its living roots exposed over the precipice, drawing nourishment from the mainland. Roots are a bridge. The pine is 5 times my age. The arch of the chapel collapsed 3 decades before I was born, leaving the tree to stand, a guardian of rocks in the path of winds, alive with birdsong, verdant and proud in its solitude. House finch, pheasant, red-eyed vireo, American redstart, ovenbird and common raven make a music we would not have known unless we walked these paths. We will return to this shore, make it at home. And little did I know that we'll move back to Michigan. So, again, I'm keeping to the sort of spiritual sense here with a poem called Holy Communion that I wrote for my parents. And this is a little while before, it was October, my father died in November, so about a month and a few days before my father died. The priest gathered us under the cross in our living room, parents seated, children kneeling. The book opened, the words of old prayers flew about like freed doves, trained to return home. We don't know if my brother opened the last bottle of wine, What if I protested Dad's dying one last time when I offered the glass of red instead of the morphine? Because for God's sake, we'll do this right. Mom and my sister nursed Dad through the small hours, talking softly about what will happen to all of us scattered too far from home. Dad told us to plant a row of fruit trees, fix the writer's shed. It's Sunday morning. The sun rises in the autumn-burned trees above our church. The priest alone waits for us with holy oil, holy wine, incense, prayer, and songs. My brother, my sister, and I walk through the door. We light 3 candles. Our faces are reflected in the face of Christ, glowing in the icon lit by stained glass window. Sunrise. The priest calls us to the altar where we drink the tiny spoon of wine. Peace. I walk alone to the room I filled with flowers nearly 17 years ago, preparing for my wedding. The mind has a way of layering parts of our lives so that dying father, lost marriage, and those August roses reflect each other in the memory of icons I kissed this morning. My father's cold hands are in mine. Bravo, he says. When I kiss him all over the face, bravo. I'll stay a little longer, he says. You fly home now. Grand River is covered in glowing fog in the growing morning. Maples emerge, candle-like orange through dewy ribbons above the water, and I take flight through the thick cloud up towards the sun. Pamela isn't here today, but I want to read a poem that I wrote for her. I'll read actually a couple of poems that I wrote for her. Solstitium. It wasn't just a feeling. The sun stood still. The light in the hours was weak, and the ravens came out, curious about us being there. They were black, like ink. Perched on high branches, they surveyed us. As if from the longest night, the ravens came out on top of trees and looked us in the eye. You turned away from them, sensing how I was drawn by their powerful wings that beat above us. The sun stood still. The light in the hours was weak, so much like this time of my life when luck stands still. The ravens were feasting in the fields. I loved their powerful beaks. They took my soul under their wings. It wasn't just a feeling. We counted the ravens, 2, and then 3, 5 more. They flew so low in the fields as I walked after them. I walked with the ravens in the fields. I had forgotten that it was the shortest day when I asked you to join me. All I wanted was a walk in the fields. We always see hawks and herons there. We look for omens about going away. From here, my luck stands still. The ravens did not speak to me from the tops of trees. They looked at us, fellow travelers, and left. The water in the sea was clear. I've come through the longest night, you see, my dear. The earth continues to tilt. It's not just a feeling. When I lived in Stony Brook, I lived at 23 William Penn Drive. It's such a beautiful little house on a beautiful little street. But I used to take a lot of walks around. So on Archer Street, next to us, I ran into a man who lost his way. Somebody who came to visit his young family, and forgot where he was. Archer Street. Today I met an old man who was lost. He stood between Yorkshire and Archer. I don't know where I am, he said. I don't know how to go home. I think it's number 44, he said, but I can't remember the street name. It was freezing cold out there. I was about to turn around, but the old man stood lost, and his eyes had that look that is unforgettable, that pulls. I don't know where I am, he said. Don't worry, everyone forgets, I said. I will help you find your way home. Let's look at the numbers on the mailboxes to see if we can find 44 on one of these streets. But the numbers were small, 4, 5, 6. We kept turning around in the cold. Don't worry, I said. I will help you find the way home. I'm here visiting my daughter, he said. She is a doctor. Do you have her phone number? I asked. We called her and found the address. It was a pleasant walk once we knew where we were going. We talked about his countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and mine, Romania, and how parents dream big for their children after wars end, or after families get away. His eyes were warm and calm, but he kept forgetting names and dates the way one slips on an oily kitchen floor. And I kept saying, fine, as if everything made sense. But then again, everything makes sense. He is an old father in a new country visiting his daughter. Memory is fragile, like a porcelain cup in a child's hands. Elusive, like the foam of the sea when you catch it in your palm. It runs away from you like a gap in breathing when you are in the middle of a street you've never seen before. It tricks you into believing strangers are your family. You are my sister, he said. Thank you for bringing me home. I never know how streets are named, but I wonder about the precision of archery, the target and the aim of mind, eye, arm, the hands that hold the bow and arrow, the trajectory of memory. I wonder if and how the gap in remembering his younger daughter's name, her husband's exact specialty in medicine, where home now is, and this freezing street where we met have something to do with how we lose thoughts and bits of ourselves along the way, and find company and gratitude, even when the road behind us disappears, leaving us waiting, confused, away from home. I think I'm gonna read, there is something about, again, a poem about solar eclipse, and then Dan, do I have time for one or two more?
Oh, you got time for a couple more, Carmen. You're only about 11 minutes in.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Solar eclipse. Again, this is April 28, 2024. So I don't know if all of you were out with your sunglasses out, but I certainly was with my kids and with Pramila and everybody else who was around Stony Brook. Snowy egrets flew low, waited at water's edge. A blue-gray heron roosted on the yellow magnolia. Cormorants flapped their wings on the floating trunks in a pond. Geese talked in pairs. Swans napped over their nests. A row of turtles sunned themselves. The moon slid over the sun like an eyelid, and everything went cool and quiet. My kids whispered of sunset. The spring flowers glowed in the odd light. And then the moon slid off the sun, returning all the songs to the birds. We are changed forever, having seen the night inside the day, having felt the flight of snowy herons. And Carolyn, I'm very happy to see you. So Carolyn and I used to get together all the time and share meals and poetry and ideas and all kinds of things. And I know you liked the poem Hawk when you wrote to me about the book. So this one is for you here. I went out to look at him, an apparition with great wings glowing in the light of morning, scanning below the spring tree line. I returned inside and drank my tea without losing sight of him. The orioles put on alarm calls. Mockingbirds attacked him. He now cleans his feather unperturbed at the very top of the tallest tree. I think about my deadlines and the morning sliding by, but he watches my garden from way up there, and I'm hooked on him against the flawless sky with flowering trees below. Time pulls the two of us along in the bright, fresh morning. Under him, such a tiny tree branch sustains unbearable weight. Fragility seems only an illusion. Hawk, take everything that is weak in me in your claws. Eat it. Leave me patient and wise. It's been nearly 2 hours since you appeared and straightened me from the spine up, eyes on you. So, and I'll end this because I want to make sure that people have time to read poems. When I moved to Michigan, here where my mom lives, she lives in a sand filled with sandhill cranes. They always come and just land by the house, and they cross the little road from one place to another. The other day, she was chasing two of them with her phone camera. She went really close to them, and it was just the funniest thing and the sweetest thing to see. She's hobbling in the grass looking for those pictures. But so this is when we moved here, we moved for family reasons to be with my family here. I've gone through a pretty difficult divorce, and the kids felt a bit out of place. And I made a connection with the sandhill cranes here. Two sandhill cranes walk across the school sidewalk before the morning bell, out of place and yet unstartled, like my daughter and my son going to a new school. We have traveled across the map, but I discovered there is still a long journey ahead, with feelings that cling and call us back, keeping us awake at night. Almost a month now waiting for our clothes and books, the coffee mug, the pans, all wrapped in boxes, the truck that soon will bring battered memories to us. Thank you so much. I feel very honored to read to you.
That was wonderful, Carmen. It's you read 7 poems, and just starting with that beautiful imagery about the chapel rock and the soothing music, and that the wind says a million things, and the resilience in adversity, which I think is all what we look for in a place of prayer. The Holy Communion poem was just beautiful. I thought of the procession, when they do the Easter Vigil, where they bring in the cross and the light of Christ, and the light of Christ clearly reflected on the faces of all the children when your dad was near death, and with that beautiful poem to your friend, when the sun stood still and the ravens were all looking at us, and the thought of the ravens having their soul under your wings was just something that'll stick with me. And then that beautiful story about the man walking on Archer Street, not knowing where he was, and how you were there to bring him home. A beautiful poem. And then the solar eclipse. It's interesting. We often reflect on the beauty of the solar eclipse, but it's interesting to see the eclipse from the point of view of the egrets and the geese and the swans and the turtles and the cool flowers, the quiet flowers of the night, and when night turned into day. Just beautiful. And the wonderful, obviously you've got a real affinity towards birds, the great wings of the hawk, and how he was scanning the tree line, and how he could take away from you all that is weak. What a wonderful image. And then the sandhill cranes, and beautiful in terms of you all there, and your children all waiting for the books in the previous life to arrive. It was just 7 poems, but very, very rich and beautiful with meaning. So we thank you for that. So,
thank
okay.
you.
So we're going to move now to the open read. So we got some new folks here. So let me go over the guidelines, and I hesitate to call them rules or commandments, but basically, if you want to read, please put your name in chat. Remember, only 1 poem, And please no poem more than 5 minutes. Keep your microphone muted until you are called upon to read. I will announce the readers in groups of 3, so you will not be surprised. So please keep your microphone off until it's your turn actually to read. Okay? And we're going to start with the first group of 3. And the first group of 3 is Marvin, followed by Nicola, followed by Carolyn. So Marvin, over to you.
Okay, this poem is entitled Cycles. Stalwart they stand, these trees, with summer fading, their green now shared by brown. Soon red will dazzle for a while, before frost clutches the leaves, tossing them to the ground. Bare branches, skeletons, mocking what once was. Did these trees feel the change? Did they fret or stand defiant, knowing they have endured years before my birth or yours? Cycles come and go. Soon frost and bitter cold will also bid adieu. Birds will chirp again. Leaves flutter in spring wind, with green embracing the land.
Thank you, Marvin. Okay, Nicola, over to you.
Unmute. Carmen, those were absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed them. Thank you for sharing. This one is rather pretentiously called A Poem for My Muse. We walk together in summer gardens and sit by winter firesides, comfortable in each other's company, like the old friends we are. You bring me a phrase or a picture, a scent or a sound, which I will weave into a story or verse. Sometimes you come at night, calling me from my bed, clamouring for attention like a fractious child or an insistent lover. Then I must rise and write, capturing half-formed words and images before they melt away in the first pale light of dawn. There are times when you remain silent, when I wonder what I've done to offend you. Then the world seems grey, drained of all colour and emotion, until I glimpse you running through the trees or popping out around the door, taunting me in a sing-song voice, "You can't catch me!" And I know that you're right. You are a creature of thought and imagination, insubstantial as the air I breathe, and as necessary. I cannot bind you or hold you. Like a cat, you come and go as you please. There you are.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, Carolyn, over to you.
This poem was inspired by a sculpture on the Seed Trail this summer, and it was dark charred on the inside, and then it had like leaves in a square on the outside, and those reflected the green all around it. Seasons. In the dark underground, a confusion of roots, some in a state of dormancy, a time of rest to conserve energy, consuming stored sugars for survival in adverse weather. For those still active, whenever possible, roots take up water, gather nutrients, leaves, or needles processing sunlight. In the dark, some sleep or cogitate, speculate, deliberate about plans for thriving outside of chaos. Sometimes it is the charred seeds which at last release new shoots, while others wait for longer light, then offer up bright, shiny sprouts. What has grown out of chaos falls into a natural order as roots, stems, leaves intertwine into a vibrant whole.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, the next group of three is Barbara, followed by Karen Schulte, followed by Sherry Lynn. So Barbara, over to you. Barbara, got to turn your mic on. Give Barbara a second to master her mic. Barbara, I can hear your lips. I can see your lips moving, but I don't hear you.
Okay. Here we go. It's my arthritic finger that has no heat in it.
You're forgiven. It's fine. Good things worth waiting for.
So I will briefly kind of introduce this. The former poet laureate, George Wallace, asked me and a bunch of other musicians to put some of his poems into music. And I did that. And this evening in Huntington, there is going to be this big musical review. And unfortunately, I cannot be there. So instead, there's like a track of me singing the song that I wrote. So it's not a spiritual song in any way. But anyway, and I'm going to accompany myself, I hope, with a track that I have. So bear with me. I hope it all works. It's called Abundant in a Crowd. I walk down Broadway, slower than slow these days. Though the crowd goes fast, I am a snag in the human river, caught in the tug and tumult, the sweet magnetic current of all the beautiful people. In a big hurry to get anywhere, everywhere, nowhere fast, so beautifully alone together. I am abundant in a crowd. I am naked. I walk down Broadway, slower than slow these days. Though the crowd goes fast, I am a snag in the human river. Surrounded by all the animal graces, magnificent tragedies and love affairs. Oh, an ocean of body heat. Whoa, my body. I am abundant in a crowd. I am naked. Into view and polished too. Old men stumbling along, lost in the mortal coil. Women with perfect stillness and glass ceiling to shadow. I love every breathless woman brushing past me, admire every man confident in his stride. Oh, I love all the animal graces. I am abundant in a crowd. I am naked without one.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks.
Okay, That was a first for us. I think it's the first time we've had song during one of these readings. Okay, Karen Schulte, over to you. Karen, remember to turn your mic on. Give Karen a second.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Thank you.
You're fine.
I just want Carmen to know that I just so happy to see her and to hear her poetry. It's been a while. And, the poem I'm going to read is called Brick Paver. Your memorial paver is set in front of the glass entrance to the new visitors center, placed there along with others to honor the Arboretum's existence, where we would go over the years to find solace, a sort of peace, close to the river before it empties into the bay. I could only use a few words on your paver. Your name, date of birth, date of death, no space between to embellish all you were and did, all 50 some odd years of life, the hard work of those starts and finishes, an avalanche of ordinary events and some surprises. No mention of your teaching years, your children, your love of loud music, taking things apart, sometimes getting them back together, closets full of t-shirts from races you ran, your running sneakers, too numerous to count. But there it is, etched on a paver, your name enshrined for as long as it lasts, written on hard surface without bells and whistles. If you could, you would rise to the occasion, willing your runner's body to do whatever it could, legs long and muscular, ligaments trained, muscles primed for the distance and the clock. You lived as though each day was a new start, where nothing could keep you from your best run, where what seemed insurmountable was not, and luck was forever cheering you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. Okay, Sherry Lynn, over to you.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Daniel and Kathy, for hosting, and Carmen, thank you so much for sharing your art with us. This is such a treasure to be here and hear everyone. This piece is called Forgiveness Rain. Poetry is never too ambitious when a politician never apologizes and nightmares shout no remorse. Surging inspiration to safeguard liberty for next generations. See it, inhale. Imagine it, exhale. Believe in possibilities. Even as revenge is witnessed, silent acquiescence is demanded, spinning chaos to deafen hope. No, we won't be stifled by such intentions. I'd rather believe in a world led from merciful compassion than to dissolve into despair under charcoal skies. As long as we stand, unite, vote, envision our collective home a sanctuary, aspire, treat each other as you treat yourself, beseeched by cultures and religions worldwide, let us heal. Because if we can imagine it, we will create it under a forgiveness rain. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next group of three is Mike Daly, followed by Joyce, and then followed by Dan Kerr. So Mike, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. You know, I like to find odd and interesting news reports and especially police reports from all over the world. This one comes out of Zimbabwe. I found it several years ago. Now, some say that Zimbabwe has not even reached the 20th century, but is locked in the old world of superstition and curses. If you happen to be in the area, be kind to the people, because you never know what they believe in or what they will do if they felt you did them wrong. This one is called Goblin, and it's from a police report. It happened in Zimbabwe on Wednesday of last week. If it didn't hit your papers, I guess it's mine to leak. At a local police station, this man came waltzing in, carrying a suitcase about as big as him. He was making quite a racket. The police all gathered round to see what was the matter, to see what made that sound. But when the case was open, they all just turned and ran, through windows and through doorways, got out the best they can. You see, out jumped a creature from a bottle filled with blood. It came kicking and came screaming, just covered up with crud. Some say it was a large snake, but with a mad dog's head. Some say it's just the opposite, a dog with scales instead. But the one thing they agreed on, it had an awful smell. But just what that smelly thing was, no one could really tell. It seems this old man's neighbor was quite upset with him and gave to him this suitcase with a goblin trapped within. The cops called a local healer to see what he could do. He captured and he burned it. And with that, the tale was through. But let this be a warning. Don't make your neighbors mad as spit. And if he gives to you a suitcase, don't ever open it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Joyce, over to you.
I hope you can hear me. I'm having trouble with my technology.
You're fine.
Okay. I wanted to say hi to you again, and thank you for doing this. And Kathy Donnelly, you might recall, I believe we met at the Bard's annual meeting a couple of weeks ago. I think I sat in front of you and we chatted. So it's wonderful to be in touch with you guys out east. I'm in Long Island. I'm in Western Nassau. So I'm going to read a couple of short poems. So the first one is, and some of them are appropriate for the season.
Joyce, I'm sorry, the rules are you can just read one, please.
Oh, it's only 5 lines.
Well, just read one. Those are the rules.
Okay, I'll read the rules then. I'll give you another poem then. Sorry. So this is called Still Writing. And it's called Still Writing because I'm still writing sometime I was a kid. Lying in the bed in the cozy sky blue painted bedroom on Exeter Street, where I felt so safe and loved when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, I made stories in my head. I waited until the small hand on the clock was somewhere and the big hand was somewhere else so I could wake Aunt Grace and Uncle Jules. When I turned 7, with Aunt Grace's encouragement, I started writing a journal that summer. Years later, when I showed her my article published in the college newspaper, this retired school teacher said to me, "You have talent. Don't ever stop writing." And I haven't.
Thank you, Joyce. Well
Thank
done.
you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, the next poet is Dan Kerr. And before I read this poem, I'd like to remind people of the wisdom of Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers, who said he would never let a difference of opinion with regard to politics or religion or philosophy come between friends. So with that context, the poem is called Who Killed Charlie Kirk? I'm old enough to remember the assassination of JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. The triggers were pulled by Lee Harvey Oswald, James Earl Ray, and Sirhan Sirhan. Now I ask myself, who killed Charlie Kirk? The gun that fired the bullet was German-made and likely was aimed at US soldiers in World War II. The assassin had inscribed one of the bullet casings, "Catch this, fascist." Fascists imposed their will through forcible suppression of opposition. Charlie Kirk often said, "The violence begins when we stop talking to one another." Perhaps the liberals felt the need to silence his conservative message on college campuses. When Kamala Harris called Trump a fascist on national TV and others shouted, "Gestapo, Gestapo," the implication was clear. Trump and his supporters must be stopped at all costs. Trump credits Charlie with delivering the youth vote that won him all the swing states and the popular vote in the election. The anti-fascist missed Trump in Pennsylvania, but successfully delivered a kill shot in Utah. Hitler started World War II in Europe and killed 6 million Jews. Trump stopped the flood of illegal immigration and brokered peace between Israel and Hamas. When critics call Trump Hitler and his supporters fascists, they provide the rationale for assassination. An open mind is free to ponder the question, what was it the real fascists who killed Charlie Kirk? Thank you. Okay. You see why I gave you the preamble. Okay, the next group of three is Claude, followed by Wendy, followed by Hiram. Claude, over to you. Claude, you got to put your mic on.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if I agree with you there, Dan. Sorry, but
remember
anyway.
Thomas Jefferson.
Gotta have a little room to move there. A million stories, a million theories. So I walk 4 days a week, and I swim 3 days a week. I walk for 2.5 hours, and my best buddy lives in Alameda, in California, and he walks, and we talk sometimes when we walk. And in Georgia, where I am, the temperature usually is much warmer than it is in California, in Northern California, in Alameda, which is near San Francisco. And Mark Twain once said, "The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in California." It's cold there because the ocean's cold. And in 1986, we had 7 vaccinations in our lives. Then the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986 was passed, releasing all the pharmaceutical companies of any liability for death and injuries. And now we have 72 vaccinations, which is a question about the safety, because they jar up your immune system, and who knows what happens. And question, of course, a little bit of autism. And there's one reference in here I know you'll relate to, Dan, because it's about football, Miami Dolphins. Anyway, so the temperature that day when we were talking was 72. It was 72 in Alameda, and it was 72 in Georgia. Oh, how you like that? Season must be changing or something. 72. 72 degrees today in Alameda, California, and Cartersville, Georgia. 72 virgins waiting in heaven for afterlife reward. 72 Dolphins, the last team undefeated for a full NFL season. 72 vaccinations, too many for your children in an era of pharmaceutical greed. 72. That's it.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Claude. Okay, Wendy, over to you. Wendy is still with us.
Well, unmute. I'm trying to unmute. Carmen, a wonderful reading, and I'm always honored to read amongst such wonderful poets. And thank you, Kathy and Dan. This is called M is for the Mother. 9 months nurtured in her womb, birthed in joy and pain, mother and daughter's lives intertwined, dance recitals, softball games, graduations, always the proud mom, danced at wedding, mother of the bride, daughter enjoying a day of shopping, hate-inspired random shots ring out, Mother Day celebrations a thing of the past, M is for the mother of a murdered child.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you for being part of the Live Poets Society as well on Sunday.
Thank you.
Okay, Hiram.
Thanks, Dan. I'm Hiram LaRue from Maryland, and I've already posted, but I'm going to repost an opportunity tomorrow if you care to join us in, as we say, turning poetry into food. We'd love to have you tune in to this fundraiser reading for a food bank. So the poem I'm going to read, well, I also want to thank Carmen for those burnished poems, just lovely. I want to share a poem that first appeared in the Rumen. It's all about a cornucopia this time of year, a cornucopia, a horn of plenty. It's titled Abundance.
Oh, here we go again.
If everyone could mute, I'd appreciate it. The poem is titled Abundance. Come every blackboard and mud pile, come curved roads or weed seeds, come twig tip or what's wicked, and back alleys and soup bowls, come one and more, and come hope inside settings, come moonlight or muskrats, come quasars and scriptures or mummies and spaceships, come hard and washcloths, and especially bees. Let them arrive overflowing, followed by old barns or cousins that come running or crawling or spinning. And then come ivy and fleas. Yes, come ivy or wondrous, like graveyards or new nests. Come doors flung wide open by wind and peace. Come ribbons and wild dogs, but most of all these come backwards and forwards from button to language, from awful magic and cussing and freeze. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Hiram. Okay, we've got one more scheduled reader, and then we'll give everyone an opportunity to read. Don't panic if you haven't read yet and I didn't catch your name. So the next one that we got scheduled was Rose. Rose, over to you, and then we'll come back and pick up anyone else who wants to read.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I believe this is the first time I'm on with this group, and I found out about it through Kathy. So thank you, Kathy. And it's nice to see some other familiar faces. Carmen, you were amazing. I missed the first few poems, unfortunately. I apologize, I was late, but what I heard was really lovely. Thank you. The poem I'm going to read, I wrote a long time ago. I was living in southern Connecticut, in Greenwich, and I was at Greenwich Point when this came to me. It was during a time I was having some stressful moments, but the title is Quiet Mind. I come to the water to quiet my mind from its incessant wandering thoughts, a mind invaded by memories and ghosts from the past, of dreams gone awry, or so I believe, a mind that hungers for quiet, for calmness, and just to be free, like the seagulls in flight beyond the sea. I come to the water to quiet my mind, to be reminded how simple it all can be. Enliven the senses, indulge and escape. What couldn't be heard amidst the turmoil within evolves into a heavenly symphony composed from the sweetest of sounds. Hear the children's laughter, birds chirping in song, the rhythmic splashing of waves, the gentle rustling of wind. What couldn't be seen through the fog in the brain transforms into a colorful palette of objects and hues. Notice the blue shimmering waters painted golden with rays of the sun, and the white glistening sailboat over yonder, gliding softly across the horizon with no destination to target, just the sea. Experience this moment for it's all that is real, or the healing softness of tranquil stillness and a world taking pleasure in just being. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Okay, so just one second. I want to change my view here. Okay, so as anyone who would like to read has had an opportunity to read, just wave. Okay, so Virginia, sorry, I missed you. I think you may have seen your name in there. So Virginia, anyone else? Virginia and Shu, great. Anyone else? And Kathy, I will call upon you as well, give you an opportunity to read, maybe as the last one. Okay, and if anyone else is inspired to read, we'll do this once more. So let me change my view here and let's go to Virginia. Virginia? Well,
yeah, I think I just unmuted myself.
You're all set.
Yeah. I want to thank Carmen for a wonderful reading. And I notice how she notices all the little live things in every poem. It's wonderful. My mother singing. I am unprepared for her singing after so long. One of my sisters has digitized a recording, and now I stand suddenly weeping as my mother's tremulous voice rises in song. My sisters and I meet 36 years after her death. We often show old videos and slides, but this is the first singing that fits besides our parents' ghosts and our stages of growth. I never had perfect pitch and disappointed my mother's musical genius. My piano just wrote. I could dance, and that she approved, led by Isadora Duncan's passionate memoir of note. But I introduced my mother to Ernest Bloch and Hector Villa-Lobos. Both composers touched her heart, surged in her soul like waves over a dock. She loved hurricanes and waited as the air punched the wild heavens to release torrents. I took her to a Debussy opera and La Boheme. We wept together. Now I weep alone, standing alone, my face all rue. When she sings Indian Love Call, she scats a jazz feather. She loved pianist and followed blind Hank Fowler from place to place because he could play Invitation to open the veins of altered love. She sings a carol at end. I look down at a plate. Sit, eat. Resume vacation.
Thank you, Virginia. Very moving. Okay, Shu, over to you. Shu, you got to turn your mic on. You're still on mute, Shu. There you go.
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself. So I
You are now
post my
unmuted.
writing in the chat so you can follow. I love this group, everybody have different opinions, but we still, love each other. That's good. And so I really love everybody's reading. So the title of my reading is By Your Fire. 1, the living. Where you go, my heart follows. Now our journey ends. My heart is lost. 2, the echo of memory. The wind unlocks memory. Rusted regrets. Rotten promises. Why does a dead heart still feel pain? All that remains are the things I try to forget. The moon hides behind clouds. Don't ask why. How could I forget? 3, the weight of longing. Loneliness grows with each dawn. My longing for you lies buried beneath the dust. Can't let you go. I let go of myself. 4, the silence of seasons. Every spring petal whispers lonely. Each summer raindrop carries sorrow. Autumn leaves dance their last goodbye. Snowflakes weave a thick blanket. Silence all, silence all. The butterfly has long gone, but the blossoms still wait for its return. Meeting you was fate, parting destiny. Time is merciless. Not even a sigh survives. 5. The ashes of love. At last, my tears dissolved into mist on the wind. You set the fire. I was burned by your love. Nothing, nothing remains but ash. Thank you.
Thank you, Shu. Well done. Okay, over to Kathy.
Hi. So I just want to say thank you, Carmen. That was lovely. When you left us and we no longer had you in our own backyard, so to speak, I was very sorry to see you go. And I knew you had family and it was good, good for you, but terrible for Long Island. Big loss. And I have to say, it's fascinating to experience your adventures in Michigan, and hear you finding these treasures, making it your new home, and familiar to what you might do on Long Island, but yet not Long Island, another place. And God bless you. I'm glad that you're finding happiness, which I imagine you are, and this seems to be the essence of the poetry, just finding beauty everywhere. I remember the poems about the flowers falling with your daughter walking down the street. Beauty in the simplest of environments. It's just incredible how you bring that out. So thank you for that. I'm going to read a love poem. It's called Coming Home. Knowing you could be around the bend, at any moment knowing you are coming. Air is softer, dawn light warmer in winter days. Every moment I stop the momentum of minutes into hours. Your spirit seems a phantom, but I feel it permeate space from there to here. I put you away in a small drawer at the bottom of our dresser, close it tight, go on with the dailies. Flowers hoard their infants ready to burst. Words in one ear, out the other, promises I read in your voice, sighs whisper to the universe. My heart beats faster on its own.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, well done. Okay, now we'll bring back Carmen for an encore. Carmen?
All right, thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to all the poems and to all the different voices and everything that you had to say in very unique ways. So thank you so much. I've been mentioning, and Kathy said something about my book becoming a modern classic, just being republished as an international modern classic. And I wanted to read you a small excerpt from the memoir, just so because I think I never read from the memoir. Very rarely do I read. So I have a little passage here. It will definitely be shorter than 5 minutes. It's about a page. And it's interesting. This came literally just now during this reading, that I got a request to read from the memoir, and then I thought, what am I going to choose? But here again, I want to return us to the spiritual place, to the church place. So this excerpt is about the local priest at the church that was right outside, right next to our house in Romania. My father, at this point in the book, is in prison. He was in prison for protesting against the communist government, against Ceausescu there. This is 1980s. And we were placed under 24-hour 24/7 surveillance. One of the contraptions that they put was placed in the tree in the church garden that was right above our garage. So they had all these cables connected to our cables, on top of the house, on top of the garage, all of this. So then I went to confession. And this is about really priests' resistance to censorship. That's why I wanted to give it to you. But it's a really lovely way that he's done that. So anyway, here we go. So at this point is I was talking to the priest just outside saying hello, as you once says when you share a fence. So the priest points to a large metal box on a thick branch of the poplar. That's a strange looking box. Do you know when it was put there? And then I said, yes, I saw them set it up. But you know, Father, the informer tests the microphones in a cornfields that belong to the blind woman next door. So they put stuff everywhere. Because I know too well that some of the priests also work for the government, I am instantly sorry for trusting this man so much, for bursting out like that. I guess I couldn't help the old instinct that you confess to the priests, and then it's his own trouble with God if he takes in vain or wrongly what it is that weighs in your heart. That I learned from my grandparents when I was little. A few days later, in the afternoon, the priest comes to the churchyard with a few men, swinging his robes, pleased with himself. From the kitchen window, I see axes and a tree-cutting saw. All I can think of is the box. Oh my God, he'll knock over the box and he'll get arrested. I grab my grandmother and my sister. We all go to the window, eyes bulging big as onions. One by one, the lower tree branches come down, and then the men begin sawing in earnest at the trunk of the poplar. As the tree goes crashing alongside the painted wall where Mary and Joseph walk in with their donkey and cane, the cables from the box pull the aerials from the top of the garage, sending the whole listening arrangement crashing. The priest orders the men to chop the trunk carefully for winterwood, and acting as if he doesn't know what the box is for, yanks the cable from the inside, trying to dismantle the contraption. I want to rush over to kiss him, but I'm also really afraid for him. Ah ha ha, my grandmother laughs. Now let them fight with the man of God. No sooner has she finished the sentence than the policeman comes running from the entrance of the church in alarm. As he gesticulates to the priest and his men asking about the tree, the informer rushes over as well, and two other Securitate informers soon appear. It has taken only about 10 minutes for these people to show up, so now we are in no doubt that we're directly under their eyes. Fragments of the conversation come through the window. Ah, this tree is so rotten and old, I thought we'd better cut it up for winterwood in a church. Ah, that box? What box? What is that for? How is it that you didn't come to tell me about the box, my son? This is church ground. What's it used for anyway? Why is it connected with the Bugan's garage? Ah, sorry, my dear son. What do you say? God bless you. Go in peace. So that's a little bit about the man of God.
Beautiful. Very
Thank you.
wonderful way to end as well.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, Kathy, over to you.
Oh, so at this point, I just let everyone know that Iris Levin will be reading for us next month. I look very much forward to this. I've heard her reading in a number of venues, and they always grab me. So I felt compelled to ask her to read for us. And no holidays, no interference this time, Iris, right? Are you there? Essentially, her reading was postponed last year. So here we are, and I hope that you can make it next month, second Saturday, same time, same situation, and listen to Iris Levin.